I received two emails I wanted to share with you. The first was from David, so I'm going to read this. Hello, Bruce. Thank you for doing the Facebook Live Q&A. Wednesday's questions were brutal. Friday was much better. Regards, David. Yes, he's absolutely right. I do a Facebook Live Q&A once a month, and then the following 2 days after that, on a Friday, I do the live Q&A for Deep Dive Bootcamp members only. Each of those are about an hour. And yes, it's interesting for me to watch the Facebook Live Q&A questions versus the Deep Dive Bootcamp questions. And certainly I think the reason that the Deep Dive Bootcamp questions are better is because people are actually doing something with that. They've invested, they're serious, they've gone through the Deep Dive Bootcamp course. Then they have questions about where they are in the process. But there was a gem out of that Facebook Live Q&A. I heard from a person I mentored. Then he went to the Castle seminar. He pivoted out of the business that he was in and pursued a new industry as a result of looking at QLA and deciding what he wanted to do. It's a great story. He and his father immigrated to the U.S. He built a successful business. He ended up selling that business, and then he pivoted to his QLA venture. Just like Dan, I am not going to give his name, and I'm not going to tell you the industry he's at, but that really isn't the important part of this. The important part are the lessons that I think we can impart to you based on his experience. So he said, Bruce, he was mentioning that he had done his first two deals. Bruce, the first deal I was able to get 100% from the bank. They gave me 70% for the deal and then working capital up front, so I didn't have to put in anything. 100% financed, okay? The second deal got the seller to drop the price 25% and expected the bank to lend the same amount. But they flipped on me and reduced their loan, so I had to use a line of credit for the rest. This is interesting, and I think this is what separates a lot of people who succeed versus those that don't succeed. Listen to how he starts this next sentence. It was my fault for structuring the deals wrong up front and expecting the bank to come through. I had a deal actually blow up in my face with the bank pulling out at the last minute, and our board and lawyers are pressing them for acting in bad faith. I learned my lesson and began using the power of next, and will only do a deal if I can structure it like I want. All 6 new deals I have now under contract only require 60% cash at close, with the seller holding a second note, and oftentimes with no payments to the seller for 2 years. The banks delay everything, but I want those relationships to scale. Eventually, it will be like a cookie cutter. There's a ton of great information in there. One, he talks about how he was able to finance the deal, first one for 100%. He then discussed how he made the second deal work. He talked about some deals that fell apart, and he took responsibility for why those deals fell apart. And he then determined, okay, here's a model I'm going to use. It sounds like the 60-40 model that Dan Pena talked about, doesn't it? And then he makes sure that the deals that he does follow that criteria. And he only takes deals where they do follow that criteria. And he's also, as he said, learned the power of next. A lot of people live or die on one deal and don't realize there's a stream of deals. And if it doesn't work, don't waste a lot of time on it. Get on to the next one. So I thank him for his email. I would not have gotten that email probably had I not done the Facebook Live Q&A. So every once in a while, there's a gem in the otherwise non-gem questions. It really wasn't a question. He was just updating me on that. So I like to pass those along to show you that this works. If there's any question in your mind that Dan Pena's QLA methodology works, I hope that you've seen through what Dan has done and what I've done that indeed it can work. Whether it works for you, that's another question. There's no guarantee on that. But he certainly made it work. He made some hard decisions, but he certainly took, and this is my experience working with him, he took massive action. There is no substitute for that. So stay focused, track your time, determine what's important, and then work like hell. And if you do that, the odds are that you will end up with a successful outcome, just like he did. So I wanted to pass that along. You can, if you want to look into both the boot camps that we've done, the Deep Dive Boot Camp and the one that just finished up, they're on my website. Take a look at those. The last one, which was on technology and how to do it, was about 16 or 18 hours now of content. The Deep Dive Boot Camp, about 12 hours. So there's a lot of training in that. Okay, massive action. That's the key to your quantum leap, as Dan would tell you.